As co-director of Universal News Frontier, I'm breaking down a profound paradox unfolding right now in May 2026. It's an issue that's completely redefining American federalism, the limits of the Commerce Clause, and the fiscal viability of a multi-billion-dollar industry.
We're launching right into this explainer today because the mainstream headlines claiming a smooth path to national legalization, well, they're completely missing the chaotic, split-screen reality actually happening on the ground. The government literally just made the exact same plant both a medicine and a narcotic. And that $28 billion loophole you might know about, it's about to be deleted. That is the actual contradictory situation we're analyzing today.
Instead of a unified direction across the country, we're seeing the nation violently fracturing. On one side, you've got 25 jurisdictions with practically unrestricted adult use, but right next door, there's a powerful block of states pulling off a historic, aggressive retrenchment back into absolute prohibition. The legal map is, quite literally, breaking apart.
So let's look at the bigger picture, specifically this massive intra-industry rift. Here's the thing. To really understand why this matters and to figure out where the market is going, we have to look at the massive crack the federal government just ripped straight through the middle of the industry this past April. The Trump administration created this bizarre two-track system. If you have a state medical card, it's now recognized Schedule III medicine. But if that exact same plant is sitting in an adult-use recreational shop, it remains a Schedule I narcotic with zero recognized medical utility.
Now you might be wondering, why does this administrative label even matter? Well, it all comes down to financial survival and a dreaded IRS code known as Section 280E. This code prohibits businesses trafficking in Schedule I or II substances from deducting ordinary business expenses. But because medical cannabis operators with DEA registration are finally dropping out of Schedule I, they completely escape this 280E tax penalty. That instantly gives them a massive financial advantage.
Meanwhile, the recreational shops are just left out in the cold. Adult-use operators are still trapped by an effective tax rate that often exceeds 70% of their gross profit. That practically cripples them economically compared to the medical dispensary operating right down the street. It's an entirely unsustainable setup. And this isn't just some theoretical exercise, right? This is the timeline we're living through right now. We started with the December 2025 executive order, which led to medical moving to Schedule III last month. And coming up in June, there's an administrative hearing for recreational Schedule I status. That June hearing is going to be the absolute legal battlefield for the future of recreational sales in this country, which brings us to what's surprising, the untold story of market contraction.
Now, this is where it gets incredibly interesting. Because while everyone is completely distracted by the Schedule III news, the federal government is quietly engineering the total collapse of the hemp market. The 2026 Continuing Appropriations and Extensions Act just replaced the old Farm Bill loophole. They introduced a brutal total THC standard, capping it in a microscopic 0.4 milligrams per container for finished products. That effectively deletes 95% of the psychoactive hemp products currently sitting on gas station shelves.
Just by changing that single definition, they are wiping out a $28 billion national market. We're talking about jeopardizing over 300,000 jobs by November 12th of this year. So we aren't just talking about a minor regulatory tweak here. We're looking at the potential erasure of a massive economic sector. And you know that prevailing narrative of inevitable legalization? It's completely backwards right now. We're actually seeing a highly sophisticated geographic retrenchment. Florida's adult use initiative failed because of strict new signature laws. Idaho is blocking citizen initiatives entirely. Massachusetts and Arizona even have active, certified movements, gathering signatures to literally repeal their existing legal markets. States are aggressively rolling back established programs and building roadblocks so voters can't even have a say.
But at the exact same time, we're seeing these absurd legal accidents. Take South Carolina, for instance. A forgotten 1980 state trigger law automatically legalized medical cannabis the exact second the federal government moved it to Schedule III. So, they accidentally created a statutory right to medicine that the state health department hasn't even funded yet. You literally couldn't make this up.
This fractured legal map means your fundamental rights change the second you cross the state border. Just look at 2025. Police in prohibition states made over 186,000 cannabis arrests. That is 8 times as many as legalization states, which had roughly 22,000. And that's despite prohibition states having a significantly smaller total population. Now, what's really telling is what hasn't changed. Even though the total volume of arrests plummeted in legal states by over 85%, a May 2026 Wild Cornell study proved that racial disparities in the criminal justice system haven't improved at all.
Nationally, Black Americans remain 3.6 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana possession than white Americans. So the overall numbers go down, but that deeply entrenched system of disparity, it remains exactly the same.
So looking ahead to predicting the fallout, what actually happens next? Looking past the noise of the headlines, here is exactly what this split-screen reality means for our immediate future. It's our job to interpret these signals, not just read the news to you. If history is any guide, we're looking at a severe crunch. Farmers made their spring planting commitments way before these rules finalized. So when the new CSAA standard hits on November 12th, all that harvested inventory immediately becomes commercially stranded. You can't sell it and you can't move it. I'd expect to see an immediate wave of mass bankruptcies causing a severe hemp liquidity crisis this fall. Farmers are literally growing crops right now that will legally become Schedule I narcotics before they can even get them to market.
And remember South Carolina? Well, state governments generally can't ignore their own trigger laws without facing some serious consequences. I'd expect South Carolina is about to get hit with massive, multi-million-dollar class action lawsuits from patients. These are people demanding the medicine their state law now accidentally promises them, but gives them absolutely no legal avenue to obtain.
Which brings us to our community loop here at Universal News Frontier.
We've laid out the facts, the paradoxes, and our predictions for the fallout, but as a sharp analyst, I know the real picture isn't complete until we bring it to the kitchen table and hear from all of you. So consider this scenario. If one store can sell cannabis as a Schedule III medicine with massive tax breaks, but the store right next door sells it as a Schedule I narcotic with a 70% tax rate, is the federal government fixing the system or just making it more broken? Drop your opinion or prediction in the comments below, and let's figure out together if this fractured federation can actually survive. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.